been a while, but I'm actually back on the bike I've really been putting a lot of effort into. My CB750 Cafe Racer. I bought this a parts bike, as you know, and it's a going concern, but it has a few issues, and I've noticed them when I've been riding before. I'm going to attend to three things before I set off. I've got some new parts for the clutch, so I'm going to fit them. The clutch is continuously slipping, probably my fault. I want to take the carbs off again. The slow running is not very good. I think it might be this E5 fuel or whatever that we're putting in. Leaving it for a couple of weeks I think is just a bit too long, and you never drain it all out, so I'm going to clean the carbs. The other thing is, I've always had an issue with finding neutral, and it's not helped that I've not had a neutral light, so I'm going to put a neutral light on. I've wired it all in, it should be great, so I'll crack on with them and then hopefully I'll get out for a ride. Amazing how much easier this is on a warm day with new rubbers. Even the birds are impressed. Luckily it's quite a dull day, so I can work outside. Hopefully it doesn't rain. Still wet sumping. Let's hope it doesn't overflow. By having the bike on the side stand and making sure there's no oil in the sump, I should be able to take the clutch out without worrying about the oil whatsoever, and that oil can go back in. Someone in comments had put that this hole was threaded. I wondered if it should be threaded, and I bought a new clutch cable, and it turns out it isn't threaded, and the new clutch cable looks exactly like this one, so I'll keep using this one and I'll get rid of the new one. Put it all back on. All I need to do now, tighten it all the way in. Just make sure that's not. So it touches, half a turn back, tighten it up, check at the lever, and we should be ready to rock and roll with this clutch. That looks good. Put the outer plate on and the kickstart. Right then, tighten up the sump plug, tighten up that's part's done. I am losing a bit of patience now. You'll notice I've stripped it all out again. Once I got it all back together, I decided to push it forward and backwards just to try out whether the clutch was turning the engine over, and it wasn't. So I've stripped it back out. I can tell, and I'll show you in a second, that in neutral everything turns, put it in a gear and you can see that it's slipping. Now I can only see that there are two reasons for that as it stands, because the clutch plates that are in are brand new, the oil that's on it is definitely motorcycle oil, so it can't be the clutch plates, it can't be the oil. Yeah. This could be out of orientation, but if it was, I am sure the plates would be a hell of a lot looser than they are. So the next thing I come to is I replaced the springs, if you remember, with a set for this model, supposedly heavy duty, but they did seem shorter than the original springs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the original springs back in, see if it makes any difference whatsoever. And if that doesn't work, I'll just set it on fire. In neutral, nothing. In first, and as you can see, it's just sliding round. That's bizarre. The springs I took out are a thinner gauge, but are quite a bit longer. Well, a couple of mil longer. I'm going to try these in and see if that makes any difference. I've also, you can tell that it is actually engaging properly. It's not that plate's in wrong. Yeah, you can actually feel it comes across, so that's definitely right with that. So I'll put these in and let's see if it still spins. You're seeing it like I am. Work this out. Well, I'm still not happy with the clutch. I've had it in and out, shook it all about multiple times. I've now used an old school bodge that I'm a bit embarrassed about saying, but I will at the end of the video tell you about it. And it seems to be working, although I haven't ridden the bike to confirm that. I'm still going to clean the carbs. But it's in first. And as you can see, we're turning the engine over. Pull the clutch in and we're now clutching. So basically it does seem that it's doing the job. So I've ordered some bits actually, because I am going to come and revisit this. I'm not overly happy with what I've done, but it is working, or does seem to be. Right, I'm going to crack on with the carburettor. Hang around to the end though and I'll tell you what that old school bodge was that I've used. I've cleaned these carbs a few times now. My intention is just to whip the float bowls off and make sure that the float valves are clean. Perhaps whip the pilot jets out and just check them again. blow through these air lines just to make sure the drillings through the body are clear, and then put it all back together, put it on, balance them, and that should be good. The reason I'm doing this is I've been using that E5 petrol with ethanol in. It's been left for a few weeks. I did drain them, but not fully, because I thought I was going to use the bike sooner. And that new fuel, it just dries up, clogs up and everything. So rather than mess about, I thought I'd just, you know, take half an hour or so to give them a quick clean. Here we go. All of the passageways seem clear, spraying carb cleaner through, but what shocks me is I'm looking at the pilot jets. Every single one of them does not appear to be clean, and I know they were. It just shows this new fuel, it's the devil. Whatever was in these wouldn't just blow through, but I couldn't see anything coming out. It's, you know, very frustrating. Use the trusty 11 gauge electric guitar wire to poke through. I can see a nice clear clean hole all the way through on all of them now. Put them back in, put them back together. Before I shove them back in, I will put a little bit of carb cleaner through those orifices. I've checked that the float valves are moving. I've checked that the floats all look like they haven't moved, so that's set right. So I'm just going to whip the float bowls back on, get them back on the bike. Good to go. That's the carbs back on, and they have bench set them. All the slides are opening at the same time. I really would like to balance them, but on a day like today when it's such bright sunshine, I'm really not for working outside. So I'm going to bang the tank back on, and I'm going to have a quick look at rigging up some sort of neutral light. So it's not the prettiest bracket at all, but I've got now a neutral light and the oil warning light. The switches were already in and all the wiring was in, and I had it wired to a plug like this inside the headlight. So what I've done is, besides dropping that, is I've wired the wires for these to the opposite, the male part of the plug, and I've also provided power to them, and they work a treat. This is them on, and if I choose a gear, oh look, neutral light off. Right then, well after all that, let's hope it starts. Put the fuel on.
I've not found neutral yet. Yeah. Excellent. Well, it's not really a success with this neutral light, is it? Although the clutch seems to be fairly successful. A bit of kicking and it gets in gear. Let's ride it, see what happens. Well, the clutch isn't slipping, my neutral light's not working. Other than that, this is great! Changing gear seems okay once you're going, but it's a bit of a struggle. Revving a bit high, but I expected I'd have to play with that. Hey, neutral lights on. What a bonus was that? And I just need to adjust my throttle. And everything in the garden is starting to look rosy. Come on, baby. Please, go faster. Clutch is a little bit jumpy. Well, so far, so good. I have arrived at Suaby. Might only be 2 miles, but I am quite pleased. Gear change seems okay. The pickup on the throttle seems alright from lower revs. Not too bad at all. If I can find neutral, it'll be a miracle. I can find it, but I'm not getting the neutral light, which is a bit of a bugger, but not to worry. in neutral when I didn't want it. Hilarious. It's noisy, but it's got a bit of go. Unfortunately, the speedo's not playing at the moment, so you don't know how fast I'm going. Neither do I. I see why the speedo's not working. It hasn't actually. Oh, it has now. Took it a while. So I can't say this is a successful ride yet. I've done, you know, 4 miles. Struggling still with finding neutral, even with the light. At least the clutch seems to be clutching.
Well, no doubt you've just seen some of the riding I had, and part of it felt like a disaster movie, part of it felt absolutely fantastic. Overall, I'm quite pleased. Of the 3 things that I was trying to sort out, it looks like the clutch is clutching and I can set off, it doesn't slip, I can throttle, yeah, so it's not so bad. I still can't find neutral, but I think that's mostly user error. But talking about the clutch, what I did, the old school botch, it's what you use when the plates were really worn. You added an extra friction plate in, and that's all I've done. And it seems to work fine at the moment. I'm not going to leave it like that, but while it's working, I can move on to some other things. The neutral light was intermittent. I'm not sure whether it was just user error or whether I was not actually finding neutral, but it worked sometimes. The engine, the running of the engine isn't too bad. It's what I'd probably expect with open pipes and pod filters. It's never going to be wonderful, is it? And it still needs quite a bit of work. That is probably the biggest issue that compounds everything else. But let's not worry about that too much. Overall, I'm quite pleased. Enough that I actually want to get out on it again, so I probably will do before too long. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as much as I did, why not subscribe? But thanks very much for watching.